Kindly hold for a minute, please.
आगे न्यूज आती हंगे को
MC, we can start now. Okay, please. Thank you.
Technology trust is a good thing, but control is a better one.
Security used to be an inconvenience sometimes, but now it's a necessity all the time. Good afternoon, everybody, and this is Zamzam Akbar.
And I, Danya, from the Department of Clinical Nutrition and Dietetics, are the Master of Ceremony for the day. We are happy to have all of you here at the guest talk on cyber security in Clinical Nutrition and Dietetics by Dr. Srikanth Prabhu, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, MIT Manipal. Today, the internet has become a very important part of our life. Almost everything we do requires internet, from instant messaging, banking, shopping, traveling, and many more.
Moreover, with the growing need of internet, protecting our information and data have also become a necessity. Whether you own a company, business, or simply you are a habitual user of the internet, you should be aware of how to minimize threats, risk, and cybercrime, as well as to be cautious, proactive, and stay informed of cyber criminals.
A warm welcome to Mrs. Suvarna Hebbar, Coordinator of Clinical Nutrition and Dietetics, MCHP Manipal, and Dr. Avinash Shetty, Medical Superintendent, Kasturba Hospital, Manipal.
And we also welcome Dr. G. Arun Maya, Dean, Manipal College of Health Professionals, MAHE, and Dr. Sharad Kumar Rao, Dean, Kasturba Medical College, MAHE. We also welcome Mr. Raghavendra Sir for bringing and supporting us to be a part of this mega event. Thank you, sir.
I request Dr. Arun G. Maya to speak a few words.
Instead of we go, may I request Suvarna Madam?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Danya, for this, and I should also thank Dr. Srikanth Prabhu for accepting our invitation. In fact, it was Raghavendra who took up this. Thank you, Raghavendra sir, for all this initiative of putting up such a great program. We were all wondering when I was just telling we are going to have a program on nutrition, in clinical nutrition, we are going to have something called a cyber security. We were all wondering what will cyber security do in clinical nutrition. So we are all very excited and we say, yeah, we should really see what it is. And I should really thank Raghavendra sir for taking up this. And also I welcome and thank Srikanth Prabhu sir for accepting our invitation in it's been a very short notice and
thank you, ma'am.
Readily available for our students. It's really very nice of you. And I also am very happy to see my students here who have taken up this MC and have really spoken so well. I welcome one and all to this program. I want all my students to utilize this, to take up this talk seriously and understand the seriousness of cybersecurity, which is a call of the hour now, because we are so much into gadgets and so much into systems where we need to know the pros and cons and advantages and disadvantages as well. So I thank all of you all, and I also welcome one and all for this program. Thank you, Raghavendra sir, for arranging this great program.
Thank you, Suvarna ma'am. I would like to call upon Salonika Sandra to introduce the guest of honor.
A very good afternoon to all gathered here. I'm Salonika Sandra D'Souza. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the chief guest of today's function. We are honored this afternoon by the presence of Honorable Chief Guest Dr. Srikanth Prabhu, Associate Professor, Senior Scale, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, MIT Manipal. He has completed his MSc Honor in Mathematics, specialization in Computer Science, Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Dream University, Puttaparthi, Andhra Pradesh, MTech Computer Science and Data Processing, Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, PhD, Retinal Biometric Pattern Analyzing System, Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. He has an experience of 22 years. He joined MIT Manipal on 27th August 1998 at the Department of Mathematics and MCA, then transferred to the Department of Computer Science and Engineering in February 2003. From then, he's an associate professor, senior scale for Jan 2020 till date. Skill sets and the subject he taught are engineering, mathematics, computer organization and architecture, digital electronics, software engineering, OOAD using UML, design of operating system, Linux, internal software architecture, ADBMS, DBMS, AI, machine learning, soft computing, neural network parallel programming, SAGA, DBAS, SDOOP, PSUC, computer programming. He guided one student for PhD and one student submitted PhD thesis and guided 6 students towards PhD. He has published research papers in Scopus Index and Web of Series, journals with an impact factor of more than 7. He also published papers in Scopus Index national and international conferences. He got the Best Project Award for MTech project entitled Face Recognition System for Criminal Identification using Distributed Computed at IIT Kharagpur. His current consultancy project is Facial Analysis Cyber Forensic Software Development with the Department of Forensic Medicine and Toxicology, KMC Manipal, in coordination with SIFS New Delhi, which is ready for funding. His international experience are currently led Indian supervisor, Deakin University, Melbourne, Australia. From March 2018, University Nanning, China, in Italy, Malaysia, Singapore, International Connection in USA, Canada, and Germany. The other awards he received as the Distinguished Toastmaster Award, Toastmaster International USA. On behalf of everyone, a warm greeting to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Salonika, for your warm welcome. I now request Dr. Srikanth Prabhu, our resource person, to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. You're able to see it, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, before I start, I have a question for all of you. What do you mean by cyber security? What do you mean by cyber security? And what is the difference between cyber security and normal security? Normal security. Why that word cyber comes prefixed to security? Cyber security. Why don't we say normal security, human security, or ground security? Why these words are not being quoted when computers are brought in security? What is the difference between cyber security and normal security? One simple question I'm asking you all. A security which is seen through computers is called cyber security. A security which doesn't involve computers, which is done manually, you can call it to be a normal security. So when computers comes into picture for authentication of human beings, it becomes cyber security. Now, what kinds of cyber security devices you have in this world? Some of them fingerprinting machines, face recognition machines, face generation machines, retinal recognition machines. I will show you certain demos, right? But for this talk, what are its applications with respect to clinical nutrition and diet? So everybody is perplexed how cybersecurity is linked with the clinical nutrition and diet, right? Normally speaking, without cybersecurity also, every day when we cook food, there are normal sensors in our nose which can sense the smell of the food. Do you agree with me? Yes or no? You prepare masala dosa, you prepare vada, right? You can clearly find the difference through smell, which is masala dosa and which is vada. You don't have to see. You can even tell to your left it is masala dosa, to your right it is vada. Or sambar is prepared, chutney is prepared, or gobi manchuria is prepared. So God has given normal sensors inside our nose which can sense the smell of different food. God has also given sensors in our eyes, right, to see these different types of food. Yes or no? God has given different types of sensors in our tongue to taste that food. So whatever is happening inside the human body in terms of taste, in terms of smell, in terms of seeing the food, same thing today in this lecture we'll be seeing through a computer. And I call it to be cyber security because we are more concerned about the security aspects of human beings who are working for preparing the food, either clinically, that's what I am saying, clinical nutrition. That means somebody is sick, somebody is having diabetes, somebody is having a heart attack and admitted in the hospital, somebody is having high blood pressure, somebody is having cholesterol problems, or somebody is having COVID-19 and they're admitted. What types of food you are going to give, and can we prepare certain cyber experiments or what we call biometric experiments, to be precise, right, which can prove what type of food can be given to certain types of patients. When I say certain types of patients, it covers the whole hospital. And finally, last but not the least, what is the happiness index of the patients when they receive this food, right, through a computer? What I mean to say is, even the delivery of the food has to be done through a computer, right? You have a graphical user interface, which you usually see either in your college or when you go to a restaurant. Inside that graphical user interface, you have got different resources. You enter the type of food, masala dosa. How many masala dosas? 2. For whom you want to deliver? Patient and one relative. Yes or no? Etc. etc. Finally, you press one button, immediately a message will go to the kitchen. For Mr. Ashok Kumar, 2 masala dosas plus 2 teas for Ashok Kumar as a patient, and along with him, say his spouse is there as a relative who is staying. So you see what is happening basically. The messages are being spread through a computer. The computer has to be put on and data is being sent to the kitchen. Now, when this is being done, the person who enters the data should be legally right to enter that data. Now, what do you mean by legally being right to enter this data? Suppose you enter a canteen of KMC or enter a canteen of MIT. The person who enters the data into a computer about the foodings anybody buys, and also when he or she prepares the bill, that person will be a legitimate worker or an owner of that restaurant. Yes or no? Either a worker or a legitimate owner. How do we prove it now? So for that, we collect the fingerprinting data of that person or face data. Now, when we do these kind of things, what do you mean by recognition and what do you mean by analysis? So there are 2 words here, right? So first, let us understand certain basic concepts of cybersecurity, right? So first, let us see the theory part. So there are 2 views, public view and provider view. So when I say public view, I hope everybody is able to see it, right? Everybody's able to see it? The slides.
Presentation now it is not there, sir. Not shared. Not yet.
Not shared. Just a second. Now?
Yes, sir.
Now, yeah, it's okay. Done. So there are two views basically. What I mean to say, the public view, the impact of cybersecurity on society and current management of information systems. Now, what do you mean by impact of cybersecurity on society? The meaning of this sentence is, why do we require cybersecurity on society? Why not only cyber systems? Why that cyber systems is getting transformed to cybersecurity? The reason is there are certain crimes taking place through computers. When there are certain crimes taking place, like it can be a deliberate virus and a worm being sent from somewhere to a computer, a virus file, a worm file, or a deliberate obscene email coming to a computer, or some obscene photographs being sent from somewhere into your emails, or email hacking, or bank frauds. Your bank account has been hacked, or your ATM card has been hacked. So these are all crimes which are related with computer systems. These are not crimes which are committed manually, right? So that is why the word cyber security. When we have cyber crimes, we have cyber security. Remember, the word cyber means computers here. So later I will tell you about cyber forensics also, basically, right? Now, when you say the provider view, the necessary evolution of security practices which are emerging as a result of those impacts. So if at all you have cyber crimes, then only we will talk about security practices, rules. What are different rules possible? Where will we put the surveillance cameras so that we can capture the images of the people who have visited our hospital? And when people have visited at 10 a.m. today, who visited? How was that person's face? Did that person go to the canteen, go to the restaurant? Because the crime took place there, right? And when that person went to the restaurant, whom he met there, who were workers working in that particular restaurant? Say suppose somebody has collapsed because of food poisoning from a restaurant, and you suspect it has been done deliberately. So these are all the kind of clues which we collect basically. And when we collect these kind of clues and formulate rules, then comes our understanding on cyber crimes and how these cyber crimes are linked with cyber security. Understood? So a lot of applications. When you say clinical nutrition, it need not be a patient always. It can be a person who is normal and visits your hospital just for a normal checkup, a COVID-19 checkup, high BP checkup, sugar checkup, cholesterol checkup, or complete blood count checkup. All these basically, right? So what are the different dietaries involved there? All right. Now, so when we talk about cyber security, so these are certain points which you should remember. Security architecture. Now, when I say security architecture, what kind of infrastructure you have, what kind of computers you have, what kind of buildings you have, what kind of surveillance cameras you have, right? What kind of resolution in the cameras you have, etc., etc. Cyber security analytics. Now you need to analyze those data basically, right? All the data collected when people visit say your lab where you are preparing food basically, right? So the different kinds of methods to be developed, exploits and vulnerabilities. This is very, very important. How can people exploit your systems through computers and commit cyber crimes? So you should know the different types of crimes possible in your labs, basically. And when I say in your labs, they are meant for clinical nutrition and the second part, dietetics, basically, right? Then comes cybersecurity. So once you know all the different possible cyber crimes, then you will try to understand the methods of cybersecurity. How will we make those data secure? How will we make those clinical nutrition items secure through a computer? Clinical nutrition items secure through a computer, or dietetics items secure. So divide these two into two different parts, clinical nutrition and dietetics, basically. All right. So, and finally, remember, when you want to secure your data for the exploits, you should have a cloud. Why do you need a cloud? Because you want to compare your data, say in MCPH, which was formerly called School of Allied Health Sciences. You want to compare your data in clinical nutrition and dietetics with with the data in restaurants and canteens of KMC, how they are doing, right? So you want to compare in two different organizations inside MAHE itself. So for that you need a cloud, because your data will be stored in one domain and their data will be stored in another domain. Both the data cannot be stored in the same domain. So that is why this word cloud. So try to understand the meaning of cloud. Badal, we say in Hindi. Badal garaste hain, barish hota hai. So when we say badal garaste hain, barish hota hai. Now what do you mean by badal? Badal has got different parts. Whenever you have flown by a plane like Jet Airways, Kingfisher Airlines, you can see when you are flying, you can see clouds in different areas. Same concept here. For KMC, one cloud. For SOAHS, one cloud. MIT Manipal, one cloud. Then you can compare what is happening in each cloud in terms of diet, in terms of fooding, or in terms of even clinical data. How many people are well, how many people are having certain problems, basically. And these are required in these pandemic days of COVID-19, right? Now, the impact of cybersecurity, it is very important. There are three types of impacts what we can have: personal, business, and war. When you say personal, suppose even 10 or 12 years back, I was attacked by certain unwanted emails, and some certain data were sent from somewhere, I don't know from where, right? Even some of my colleagues were attacked, right? So such kind of things, personally getting certain emails or certain photographs which are not meant to be seen or to be read, where there are abusers involved, or where there are threats involved, or where there are sensual data involved, etc., etc. So that becomes very personal in nature. And when you get those kinds of data, remember, gone are those days you should keep quiet. Go and inform it to the cyber division. We have a cyber division in the university. Go and inform, right? And you should possibly, they will ask you the parts of the email, and from there they will collect the MIME header. There's something called a MIME header address, the source address and the destination address from where the email has come, like 10.101.22 and all these things, basically. Next is business. Many a times these days there are a lot of attacks in organizations which are business oriented. So the impact can be in on the business of any organization. Say like ICICI Bank, right? The accounts have been hacked, so there can be a lot of losses involved. Or say in Goldman Sachs, the accounts have been hacked. Or say in the new One World Trade Center in the US, right, where Morgan Stanley is there, their accounts have been hacked. Or say the big restaurant chain, one of them, which one shall I call? Say the Taj Group, right? Their accounts have been hacked, and some of the foodings, the way they prepare the foodings, the styles have been copied by somebody else. Now the cyber police wants to know, how did these data from Taj get hacked, and some group is copying and making their own food and making money. So basically all these things. So it can affect the business, profit loss, the gross domestic product, nominal gross domestic product, purchase power, etc., etc. And last one is the war. Days are not far. There are a lot of conspiracy theories also. I'm talking very academically, even about COVID-19 or even the HIV, right? There are certain conspiracy theories which say that both these viruses are man-made. I don't know to what extent it is true. Like the HIV virus, it is proved it has come from SIV, basically, and right. And they say that after the Second World War, the whites were against the blacks, and one injection was given to somebody, and that's how the virus came. But the way these two viruses are spread are different. One comes from unwanted contacts, and one comes basically just by the improper hygienes, the COVID-19. Like if you have an infection, common cold, it can spread if you don't take precautions. Now these kind of diseases can also spread through cyber wars. Emails can be sent from one source to another destination, right? And at the destination, suddenly there will be a bomb blast, right? Now the question remains, are these bomb blasts happening manually or by pressing a button in a computer, right? God forbid it should not happen, but these are all the pros and cons of cyber security, right? because a lot of development has been done in forensic, in manual forensics. So now criminals or people who want to commit crime, they are thinking in a cyber way, right? And let God give them good thoughts, and I hope these things don't happen, and it will not happen. This is all academically speaking what I am speaking about. The official impacts. Now, when you say official impact, how nations get affected? Now, you know, in COVID-19 time, how nations have got affected, right? There were a lot of lockdowns, specifically in China first, and then it came to Italy, and then it came to US. And all these lockdowns happened through messages which were sent from computers. Because if the messages were sent manually, it would have taken many days and COVID-19 would have spread more. So computers play a very big role, specifically when there are pandemics. Suppose this pandemic had happened 20 or 25 years back, I'm pretty sure more number of deaths would have happened, right? So this is the advantage what we have of the cyber space or the computer space. And today what we speak about in terms of cyber security, because we have cyber crimes. If we don't have cyber crimes, let us not talk about cyber security. All right. Okay. Now, what are the solutions basically of cybersecurity? Now, the solutions what we have in cybersecurity, they are all evolving. How do they evolve? When crimes take place. So one crime takes place, you find a solution for that particular crime, so that that particular crime will not take place next. Another crime will take place. Once again, you find a solution. Like when the World Trade Center fell down, right? There were a lot of forensic investigations done, and now the agencies have made the security system so strong that now planes cannot go and attack buildings, right? In the last 19 years, it has never happened. But in clinical nutrition and dietetics, I can give you an example. This happened in Bilaspur long back. My father's colleague, right? My father was in Bhilai steel plant. This happened in 1988. He came to Bhilai. He was working in Bilaspur in Chhattisgarh. He came to Bhilai just to meet his wife and his kids. His son was my classmate. And then he goes back to Bilaspur. Early morning he reaches. He goes to a hotel, has hotel food, and suddenly he collapses. A forensic investigation was done, and it was proved at that time there were no computers that poison was mixed in his food. And why it was done was he was very strict with the labor force there. Now, when the forensic investigation was done, they could not catch the right person, because at that time there was no cyber security, and that at that time there were no biometrics also, strong biometrics or strong surveillance cameras which can capture the food when it was prepared, and which can also capture the people who are preparing the food, and it can also capture those conspirators who added that poison in that food, basically. All right. So there are certain examples like this, right, which are called as cyber murders these days, basically, right, through fooding items. There are lots of examples. One happened in the United States of America, in the USA. One of our distant relatives, long back, 40 years back, he was a very popular medical doctor, and he was murdered by adding poison in his food, right, when he went to a function. This happened in the US, United States of America. So it is not that it happens only in India. The whole world has this problem these days, right? When we have nutrition, when we have fooding items, even in the railways, when fooding items are made, suddenly people are finding lizards, cockroaches in food. It is not the mistake of the people who prepare. Sometimes it is done deliberately to put the railways in trouble, or to put the political party which is in the government, or to put the railway minister in trouble. So there are lots of forensic investigations being done. And remember, here clinical nutrition comes into play, because once a lizard falls, the food becomes poisonous. So there can be food poisoning. So there can be 20 to 30 people who will get unconscious. It has happened in many states, in India itself. So we need to find out like which food item got infected with that particular kind of dead animal and how it spread, basically. So what I mean to say is it is evolving, but it is getting complicated also. Why it is getting complicated? Because one problem solved, another problem comes. Like HIV, they say now we are very close to a cure. The Berlin patient, the London patient, the San Paulo patient, the San Francisco patient, they have been cured. It has gone into remission. But the Berlin patient is no more, because he died of leukemia. He had leukemia plus HIV. Then he became negative of both 12 years back, but he died. So now why it becomes complicated in clinical nutrition and dietetics? You find a solution for one kind of crime in fooding items through cyber security, people will find another way out to commit a crime. Today, if poison is mixed, tomorrow the food itself will be contaminated. They will not mix poison, they will not mix marijuana or cannabis, but they will make the food contaminated. Right? Rice, they will take a rice which is spoiled. So you cannot prove that poison was there or poison was not there. So you need sensors and actuators to find the quality of food. And when you do that, it becomes cyber data. Because to put a sensor and actuator, you need a machine. And that machine is controlled from a computer, and it becomes a real-time system or an embedded system. Right? Why do I say embedded system? Because you are checking that food not but it can be an artificial robot. It is becoming complicated basically. One problem goes, another problem comes. It's a recursive phenomenon, right? And third one, if you say it is getting complicated, the third one, it is a fresh perspective. Now, what do you mean by fresh perspective? Methodologies or models become complicated. You want to invent newer ones. That is what is called fresh perspective. And is where people want solutions through computers, right? They want a biometric, right, which can sense the food, which can sense rice, which can sense sambar, which can sense say chutney, which can sense say masala dosa. So a computer is kept in your kitchen, and when the computer is kept, it will tell, to my left there is masala dosa, and what is the count of masala dosas? If it is 20, out of them how many are good? 100%. How many are good? 80%. How many are good? 20%, etc., etc. So there are two types of data what we have in cyberspace when it comes to clinical nutrition and dietetics. These data are called as crisp data and fuzzy data. Crisp means you are sure, 100%. Fuzzy means you are not sure. There are probabilities involved, 80%, 60%, 40%. Fuzzy data, fuzzy masala dosa. It might not be masala dosa, it might be Mysore masala, right? Like that. So basically, there are a lot of things here, basically, right? Now, defining cybersecurity. How do we define it, basically? So when we say cybersecurity, you can see the third point. We are talking about technology, infrastructure, applications, data, and human interaction. So when I say data and human interaction, these data are basically stored in the computer. Data about all the fooding items, right? Breakfast, lunch, evening tea, snacks, and night dinner, basically. And human interaction. The human being will see through a computer how much food is left for dinner. You are prepared for lunch, how much is left can be used for dinner, how much is good and can be used for dinner, basically. So all those things will be done by the computer now. Manually, you will not go and spell, ye khana acha hai kya, kharab hai kya? You will all do it through a computer. So you need a sensor and an actuator, right? It's called a real-time system. Last, I will give an example for that, right? So this is what it is all about. Now let us come to what is cyberspace when I say cybersecurity, right? So cyberspace is unique and ubiquitous. So when I say unique and ubiquitous, the cyberspace for your kitchen will be unique. It will not be the same as it is in my department in computer science and engineering. Because in my department, it deals with different subjects like database systems, computer organization architecture, etc., etc. Whereas in your department, it will deal only with clinical nutrition subjects. So the method of making the cyberspace is same, but the topics will be different on both the sides, basically, right? Now, cyberspace is both the medium and the message in many cases. Now, when I say medium and message, so computer will send data to a human being will send data to a computer, and this interaction between human being and computer can find out the clarities about the food here. Remember, the main important point in my talk is clinical nutrition and dietetics. I have a computer and I'm analyzing all different types of food, right? And the computer, you can imagine it to be a fingerprint. You can imagine it to be a face, anything here. So the computer itself will sense, right? So you can imagine computer to be a robot, right? A system, basically, right? Now, what is cyber warfare? So cyber warfare is by nature asymmetric, even when conducted by. So once you know what is cyberspace, cyber crime, what is cyber warfare, basically? Because when you have cyber warfare, then only you will have cyber security. So all these words have got elevated. Cyber crimes done by human beings, cyber warfare done by countries. So they said when COVID-19 came, they were putting the blame from one country to another country, but it is not true basically. But these are the kind of things what we call to be cyber warfare, right? So this is how we look at it. Right now, the extension of it, when you say, right, when you say cyber warfare, now comes cyber security. So it is it is an all-encompassing domain of information technology. It comprises the entire set of security-related technologies and issues, right? So any computer, right, which can authenticate any data, it can authenticate my fingerprint, it can authenticate my face, it can authenticate my retina, or it can authenticate fooding items, or it can authenticate and maintain the type of books in the library, right? So all these kind of data belong to cybersecurity. So when we come to cybersecurity, you should be very clear what is cyber warfare, what is cyberspace, right? So once you know what is cyberspace, then comes cyber warfare, then comes cybersecurity, because without cyber warfare, you cannot have this. So these three are linked. So you should have a space where all computers are there, and computers only deal with the data. Then you should have something called as crime, either done by human beings or done by organizations. And then comes the third one, cybersecurity, right? Now, security is symbiotic. This is just a concept, basically. When I say security is symbiotic, it happens with all different entities in the world. This is general security. I'm not talking about cyber security, because when crime is there, then only you will get cyber crimes. What do you mean by cyber crimes? Crimes seen through a computer, basically. So that's what, right? Now, cyber is not a hype. So 25, 30 years back, it was a hype, but these days it is not a hype. It is a commonality, basically, right? I'll just come to this now. Threat management. Now, what do you mean by threat management? So you understood what do you mean by cyber security. When you have cyber crimes, there is cyber security, and you have cyberspace also. So when you say threat management, right? Because without threats, you cannot have cyber security, right? So threat does not mean cyber crime has been committed. Threat means you are perceiving a cyber crime. So it is analytical, it is operational, it's part of larger life cycle, right? Now, why do you say it is analytical? Because you're perceiving a cyber crime. It has still not happened. So you might say 90% it will happen, 80% it will happen, 60% it will happen. Then you say it is operational. Now, what do you mean by operational? You put a probability that some crime can happen. And then you say what are the different operations involved for that threat to become a reality, basically, right? And then the third point, it's part of a larger life cycle, meaning that everybody has to undergo this concept of threat management. Okay, might be you might have undergone manually, but nowadays we see it through a computer, basically. All right. Okay. Now, understanding cyber threats, basically, I just shown a diagram here, basically. So there are different units of computers here, and the computers means basically the source from where the threat is being sent, and there are certain targets, basically, right? So there are certain logical IP addresses, internet protocol addresses. This computer will have an address, this will have an address, this will have an address, this will have an address. So once the data is sent, this computer has to perceive that it is a threat and it is a cyber crime. This also has to perceive it's a cyber crime. It's cyber crime. So there should be some methods which has to be developed by the companies to prove that the data which is being sent by unit 1, right, which is wrong, is a cyber threat, and it can result in a cyber crime. So this is one small picture here, right? Now, cyber threats are patterns. Now, what do you mean by patterns? Basically, let me talk about this word patterns, right? Now, say suppose your bank account has been hacked, right? Not through your system at home, but through a system which is far away. You are sitting in Bombay, your bank account has been hacked from Bangalore. Your account is in SBI, say one branch in Bombay, right? Now, there are certain set of patterns for cyber crimes. Now, how do we find out? For that, you need to find out the source and the destination. Destination is you are at Bombay. Source is, say, I forgot what name, I guess it is Bangalore. From Bangalore, somebody has hacked it. Now, you need to find out the IP address of the machine, Like I have an address, I have a name, Srikanth Prabhu. Same way, every computer has an IP address. It's called, you can see it in emails, in Yahoo, in your email, there's something called MIME header, MIME. And you can find out the source address from where the mail has come. So if you can find the source, then you can, if the data which came from that source is bad, you can put a FIR with the cyber police. So when you put a FIR with the cyber police, they will find out the patterns of data which has been sent from that source IP address, not only to you, but to others also, right? To find out what that person's intentions are. Is it always crime oriented or is it only with you? So this is what I call it to be patterns of data in cybersecurity, right? So remember, when I say cybersecurity, you have to start with cyber crime, and to get to cyber crime, you should have cyberspace, right? So everything, whatever we do in normal life, now we are seeing it through a computer, basically, all right? Now, information assurance. So we have finished this part, right? Threat management. So cyber security is clear, threat management is clear. Remember, threat means you are perceiving, you are just thinking that a crime can happen, right? Now, information assurance. So when I say information assurance, any information which is sent from source to destination, that happens through computers, but they are stored in servers, right? Centralized servers. Google has, Yahoo has, Microsoft has. Now you need an assurance, right? Whether this data is good or bad. And this is what is called as risk mitigation. Now, what do you mean by risk mitigation? What is the probability that data is 80% good? That means it is 20% bad. And when I'm talking today, it is all with clinical nutrition and dietetics. So you are looking at the data in the fooding items through a computer. So through a computer, I need to find out the biryani rice, what has been made, it is 80% good. So how much is bad? 20% is bad. And then you try to find out whether that 80% good is only in one section of the container. The 20% is on the other side. Then you can segregate both of them and you can give 80% of the good one to the customer. But if both are mixed, then the problem comes. This is what is called as a fill well system. Okay, we talk about morphologies, anthropologies here. Morphologies means how the shapes of food looks like. Even when you put meat like fish or red meat, how do the shapes look like? Are the shapes uniform? Then you say the food is good. But are the shapes not uniform? That means the food is getting spoiled. So uniformity of data and non-uniformity of data is very important to be assessed through a computer. So we have got a lot of algorithms for that. Shape algorithms like circle, ellipse, sphere. So you look at a data two-dimensionally, or you look at a data three-dimensionally, or in n-dimension space. 2-dimension, 3-dimension, n-dimension space. What is 2-dimension? A plate. A plate is 2-dimension. You put biryani in that, it becomes 3-dimension, right? You put biryani, you put egg curry, you put mutton curry, you put what is that? Gobi Manchurian, etc., etc. It becomes n-dimension. You get the smell of biryani, you get the smell of gobi Manchurian, you get the smell of fish, etc., etc. So when I say n-dimension, it is from smell. So in the beginning of my talk, I said it can be either by taste or smell or by seeing, basically, all right? So this is what assurance I want, how good my data is, basically. And then I can store that data in a computer. And when I store that data in a computer, then I can write a program, a small program, right? Which works on one set of training data. And then we say it works for all types of data. This is how softwares are made, basically, all right? So when we say information assurance, we have confidentiality, integrity, authenticity, availability, non-repudiation, basically. So some information have to be kept confidential about the fooding items, right? Like who prepared it. Because why I say confidential is because if the food goes bad, then if at all the customers come to know who prepared that data, there is a chance of a physical crime. That person might be murdered or that person might be attacked because that person had supplied food for a wedding function, right? And many people fell sick. Some people died. And it has happened not only in India, it has happened abroad, right? So this is what is confidentiality. You don't want to release the information of who prepared the food, basically. You just want to know through a computer how good the food is or bad is, basically, right? Then integrity. So these both are related. Integrity means data cannot be created, changed, or deleted without proper authorization. So who prepared the food is very important. Suppose tomorrow that person leaves, then you know the whole menu, the way the menu was made, the ground truth of those data will change. So when you say the ground truth of that data will change, there'll be a new thing coming to prepare that particular food. Authenticity, I will talk about this, fingerprinting, face, etc., etc. So these are some of the points, you know, what we have in information assurance. We want to make it sure that who has prepared the food, that information should be kept confidential, and all those informations are there inside the computer system correctly, how much is good, how much is bad, and then you go in for supplying that particular food to the customers, right? So this is what it is. So these are all different types of assurances what we have: cyber assurance and mission assurance, right? Next is infrastructure management. So you understood cyber security. Once you understood the cyber security threat management, once you understood threat management, you are just perceiving there can be a crime. When you are perceiving there can be a crime, you want to make it sure whether crime will happen or no. That is what is information assurance, right? If crime will not happen, you will not go for cyber security methods, right? You will just go for a computer and you will do the dealings with the customer. Very logically put. Understand, once you get an idea of what is this topic all about, just get an idea, right? Right. Now, infrastructure management. Now, what do we mean by infrastructure management? What infrastructures we have in terms of computer system, specifically in clinical nutrition and dietetics? Right? What type of kitchens we have? Do they have surveillance camera? What is the resolution of those surveillance camera? Do those surveillance camera capture all the utensils inside the kitchen? And when you say all the utensils, what type of utensils, what shapes they have? There are lots of shape algorithms, methods, and shapes like ellipses, spheres, or you can use concepts of perimeter. Simple concepts, right? Does my utensil look like a circle when I look from the top? Then you can estimate how much rice can be put inside, right? Because if at all you bought a rice packet, say from any of the shops here, say 10 kilos, right, and you assume that the bottom part of the rice has come to the top, right, then you need to find out, to prove that the bottom part created the problem, whether that utensil can capture the whole rice or some part has fallen outside. So these are all the ways, basically, utensil plus rice minus the original, basically simple mathematics, to find out how much data has been retained in the utensil, how much fell outside, basically, and what was consumed by the customer. And what was consumed by the customer, did the customer remain normal, or was there an abnormality after capturing that food inside the human body? And when it was captured, was it from the rice that customer bought, or was it from somewhere else? So there are a lot of legal procedures here. It is not that easy to prove in the court of law, basically. All right. So there are a lot of evidences. There are a lot of data captured by the public prosecutors, from the witnesses, from the victims, etc., etc., which will come into picture in the court, basically. All right. Okay. Next comes a network. What kind of network you are going to have in infrastructure? This is very important to connect all the systems, basically. So the network will look like this. So you will have various enterprise editions, like enterprise one will be MIT, one will be Workshop, one will be, say, your School of Allied Health Sciences, one will be KMC. In each enterprise, you will have different domains. Like in your School of Allied Health Sciences, you will have a domain of kitchenery. You will have a domain of only allied health sciences. You will have a domain of, say, genomics. You will have a domain of, say, optometry, etc., etc. Because you should know which domain you have to work on. You want to work only on the kitchenery part of it, where there is dietetics and clinical nutrition. And remember, when you say clinical nutrition, it is directly linked with other departments also. Because when you say optometry, it deals with diabetic patients. It deals with high blood pressure patients. So some of the diabetics will have their retina affected, diabetic retinopathy, hypertensive retinopathy. So when you are preparing food for those people, and when those fooding items are captured by your computers, you need to find out in optometry department how many patients are of which category, basically, right? All those things basically are very important. Is there a thyroid problem, hyperthyroid, hypothyroid, hyperglycemia, hypoglycemia? Depending on that, you prepare the fooding items. And remember, all these preparations are being done through a biometric. Biological property evaluated by a measure. And that measure is a computer, basically. The computer does all that. Computer evaluates all the biological properties, right? Either in terms of human nature or in terms of fooding items for this particular talk, right? Now, cyber operations. What about cyber operations we have? Basically, now when I say cyber operations, remember, we are talking about cyber security. Before that, cyber crimes. So if there is a threat, there's cyber crime, then there is cyber, this one, what is that? Cyber security, basically, right? And when I say cyber security, you want to get assured, right? How much good the data is, how much bad the data is, right? Now, when you say that, what type of cyber operations you will apply, basically? So the different types of cyber operations, what we have, one is a very basic one, which you do through a keyboard, right? Second is what type of memories you will have inside the computer, what type of hard disk will be there, what type of RAM will be there, because and what type of computing, sequential computing, parallel computing. Do you want to see your data parallelly? Because when biryani is prepared, also there is plain rice being prepared. So you want to compare how these two were prepared parallelly by one cook, right? How parallelly it was done. So remember that. So all these things will come into play. What type of cyber operation? Because when a crime takes place, say something was wrong with biryani. So you want to say how good the plain rice was, whether it was 100%. So that means there is nothing wrong with the person who prepared biryani. There is something wrong with the ingredients. But if both are bad, biryani is bad and also the plain rice, there could have been a chance that the cook had certain problems. Cook might have had some psychological problems. His family background was not good. So he wanted to commit a mass murder. Like, I will just go outside the topic, like what happened to Malaysian Airlines 370. The plane is not found. Still, it is not proved, but according to me, it's an accident, right? It's an accident. So there are a lot of clues which you can get when you're working in cyber security, whether in clinical nutrition and dietetics, by looking at other issues, basically. Remember, right? So this is what I call to be cyber operations, right? What type of data you have and how do you perceive that data, whether it is sequential, whether it's parallel. It's very, very important, because you want to bring that person to book who created that crime or who committed that crime, basically, right? So that's very important. So these are all the points here. So cyber operations and net operations. So basically, when I say cyber operations, these are the operations which have been performed through network, basically, right? But when I say network, it is a set of systems which are connected through the LAN and through internet, basically, right? So the last one, this is what is called cyber integration. Now, what do you mean by cyber integration? So you integrate the first concept. What is that? Cyber security. Before that, threats. So threats and cyber security, and plus information assurance. And once the information is assured, you want to put it in implementation, and you want to catch that person who has committed the crime, basically, right? So this is what is all about. Is a small picture of cyber integration, right? So there are certain cyber spaces: cyberspace 1, cyberspace 2, cyberspace 3. So you can think it to be different departments, basically, right? When I say different departments, one department will look only after the threats. One department will look at the cyber security. One department will look at, say, information abuse, right? So you need information from all the different departments, and you combine them and you make a context, and then you prove what is right and what is wrong, basically, right? So what is cyber integration? It supports both solution development and solution operations, right? So remember, you want to integrate all the different departments, what is involved in cyber security, right? So this is one small picture of what happens here. Cyber semantics. Semantics means logic. Cyber logic. What are the different logics available in cyberspace? And how do you analyze those logics is called cyber analytics, basically. So there should be certain logic for cyber security. That means there should be some person who is committing a crime. And here, crime is on clinical nutrition and dietetics. And once there is a person who commits a crime, you should also know the logic of how the food is prepared. And once you know how the food is prepared, what kind of bad entities can be put in the food, marijuana, cannabis, or poison, or whatever it is, basically. So there should be certain logic, and this logic comes from the human brain who commits the crime, basically. Right? And to implement this logic, basically, we have cyber analytics. In cyber analytics, you get artificial intelligence, machine learning, neural networks, deep learning, genetic algorithms, data mining. So these are all different techniques wherein we talk about classification, clustering. Classification means how do we classify data as biryani? How do you classify data as vegetable biryani, mutton biryani, chicken biryani? Or how do you classify data as gobi manchuria or cabbage curry and aloo kofta, etc., etc. Right? So this is what is all about. So we make a set of training data and then we test. And when we test, we try to find out on that particular day, at that particular time, that the data which was found is bad, how it became bad, basically. So this is the way we do it through a computer. We write certain programs, we write certain rules for that. If biryani is like this, if the ingredient is like this, and if it is like this, and or like that. So this is a system what we make, basically. So in conclusion, cyber security is basically to catch a cyber criminal through a computer, right? Now I'll show you certain demos one by one. All right. Any doubts as of now? Right. I just take a 5-minute break and I'm coming. Right. Any doubts? Just a 2-minute break. Right. I'll be back. I'll be back. All right. Raghavendra sir, I'll
Yes.
just be back. I'll just be back. 2 minutes.
Sure. No problem, sir. Okay. Hi, Zamzam. Also, like, anyway, sir, sir is coming back again with
Yes, sir.
some of the demos. Okay. By the time the students, those who have questions, you can drop in chat box, and also be ready with the questions. Once sir comes back, like, you can directly interact with sir. Okay.
Okay, sir.
As of now, is it fine? You have any queries?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
No,
So,
sir, it's fine.
okay.
But few people are already ready with questions, so it's fine.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Okay. So what we do is it is like combine uh, whatever they have, maybe in their personal, I mean, like in from the syllabus also. Okay, maybe from the basic or beyond that also. If they have anything, maybe through experience, uh, maybe they face some of the issues related to that, or how to come out from that. Anything you can connect to that. Okay,
Okay,
so
sir.
we wait for sir for a minute. You be online.
Yeah, sure.
We continue. Fine.
Right. I'm back. Any doubts? Now I'll be showing you the practical things here. Right. I just went through the theory, what concepts we have, basically, right? Understand the logic behind. I hope you understood. Cyber security comes from cyber crimes, basically, right? And you should be pretty sure whether data is good or bad. When I say bad data, they're all crime data, right? And how much bad they are, they're all probabilities, right? Okay. Now I'll show you. Yeah. So this is one small experiment of a fingerprint recognition system. You're able to see it, all of you? All of you are able to see it? I hope.
Yes, sir.
Right? Yeah. So say suppose any dietary item or any nutrition item, any fooding item, say you are touching with your hands. So basically we have the fingerprint getting recorded there, right? So this is one input fingerprint what I have taken, right? And these are called the minutiae points, right? These are all the features of the fingerprint, basically, right? These are called bifurcations because you can see this is breaking into two smaller pieces here. These are called as ridge lines. So we get all these points and we get all the possible distances among these points mathematically, distances, permutation combination rules they are, that is selection and arrangement, and we try to find the matched fingerprint. We say that this is the fingerprint which basically was responsible for one touch on that particular food item, basically. So what I did was I took a digital fingerprint. This is called as a digital fingerprint. It's a biometric, and we require biometrics for cyber forensic. Or no on that particular day, record it, because when you enter any organization today, fingerprints are a must. So your fingerprints will be noted, and once you enter, then the crime is committed in some other room somewhere, basically. So this is collected there, this is collected from the crime site, and this is being mapped here. So this has been entered when you entered, or this has been there before, because you're entering your organization every day, basically. So all the fingerprints are getting mapped, right? So basically, if you look at this, I'll just go to one more PowerPoint presentation there, right? I'll just go through it fast, one by one. It's very interesting. Follow me carefully. Right. I'm not going to talk about this, so you can look at this. So this is one of them. I just now showed you. So the method also is there. So the main thing here is to understand how the systems are being made. See, you people, like some of you will not be knowing about the programming concepts like C, C++, and Java. Try to understand what is being done so that you can enter the forensic division, say in any of the Taj hotels or any of the big hospitals, corporate hospitals. In the forensic division you can enter, and you will be given these kind of works to interpret this data you have got from the crime site, right? And you want to match it with the data, say, which was captured at 9 o'clock in the morning of the same person. Got my point what I'm saying? So this is what it is. This is one way of looking at it. So this is what is called as a loop fingerprint. These are all loops, basically, right? So this is called as a partial fingerprint. Now I'll tell you what happens. Sometimes what happens when you are holding a utensil, your whole fingerprint will not come on the utensil if the utensil is a little bit hot, and then a crime happens, right? So basically you're getting only a partial fingerprint, and this is digital. This is called as a digital fingerprint once again, right? Now you want to find the match of this fingerprint in the database. This has been captured at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So this was the one which matched, basically. So this was given in the morning at 9 o'clock when that person entered and swiped his fingerprint in the machine. This happened in the department. A crime happened. This is inside the department. This is at the entry of the organization, basically. So this is what we do, basically, right? Why do we require partial fingerprint, which is a biometric? And remember, I am doing it through a computer. These programs are written on the computer. So this is one method which has been written on a cyber crime. A cyber crime here is done by a fingerprint, and it is a murder by mixing poisoning in the food. I'm creating a metaphor here, right? So to prove this, we have written a program. This is written in Java, basically. But for you, it is enough to understand what is happening here, right? And then you can go through the forensic part. You can take, if required, one audit course, right? I can conduct certain classes for this, how these interpretations are done, basically. Then you can become an expert in all these things. So this is one more, this one, and this is called as a whirl fingerprint. So these types of fingerprint will be manipulated by the criminals, specifically when it comes to nutrition in big 5-star hotels. I remember one of the Rourkela steel plant managing director was murdered, right, when he was in a 5-star hotel. There also poison was mixed in the food, right? So there criminals, when they use any kind of utensils or any kind of devices to commit the crime, they'll be very careful about their fingerprints. What they will do is they will hide the main part of the fingerprint, but still some clue will be left. So this is the part of the clue which was left basically. Always it is said a criminal leaves clue on the spot basically. All right. Now this is very interesting. Very, very interesting. What happens when you sense certain food on the face? How your face will change when you are sensing the food. When there is when there are a lot of spices in the food, how does your face change? Or when there is a lot of sugar in the food, how does your face change? This is what is called face generation. I'll just show you one running once again. You can see this now. So there are 3 templates: person 1's forehead, person 2's face snap, and person 3's mustache. All these data are being captured from the crime site, right, through a computer. So I have got different foreheads of different people. I've got different face snaps of different people. I have different mustaches of different people, right? Now I have a suspect. So I'm asking questions to the victim and the witness, right? The victim is alive. The victim is alive, right? And once again, how do we do it now? Now, if you look from person 1's perspective, if you put person 1's eye, is he the person, right? Person 2's mouth, is he the person? These are all workers who are working in a mess for preparing food. They look like real criminals, right? That's why I took this data, right? They are all mess workers of IIT Kharagpur who have prepared lots of food in the last 20, 25, 30 years. I can take one more template, right? You can generate possible suspect images here, right? And how do we now interpret? Now look at this face. There are no wrinkles here. There are no wrinkles here also. There are no wrinkles here also. So you can say that this guy was very normal when he was preparing the food. Let us see some wrinkles. Can it come? Can we generate? You can see here the face has become puffy, right? So this you can make a guess. This person got scared when he was preparing. So why he got scared? So you can do certain interrogation, or you can put an inquiry committee, and you can call that person whose face looks like this and try to find out when he was preparing the food what really happened, because a crime has happened. Somebody has got poisoned by the food. Now through automation, you are trying to find out all different possibilities. I'm not having these people in front of me. I'm generating all possible people. So this is what is called face generation. Is this clear what I'm saying? Right? So all the possible suspects I'm generating here, right? And when I generate all the possible suspects, you can see wrinkles here, right? So if at all I have this kind of a person working in the mess, then we put an inquiry committee and try to find out what really happened, basically. So this is another way. So these are all the biometrics which are used for cybersecurity. Another biometric what we use is keystroke recognition. If somebody has sent you an email, it contains certain obscene material or some abuses or certain kind of wrong word. So how do we prove now who has sent it and which source was it? So that you can do it through keystroke recognition. You try to find out at the source for those particular keys, right? Say like key A. A is a key, right, on the keyboard. What kind of weight was applied by the criminal? What kind of weight was applied? So basically what happens is the sound of each key has to be recorded on the source of each key. Like one letter is one word has been sent to you called as worst, WORST. Somebody has sent you an email. You are the worst person. So WORST. When W was clicked, what was the weight on that key at the source? Right. This is a very good research being done, right, in big universities now in the US, and the people who are working on these kind of projects are all arts graduate, commerce graduates, not engineering graduates, basically. All right. So this is another application what we have, right? I just close this. I'll just go back to slides, right, and I'll just summate it now, right? Okay, good. So this is another way of looking at it. This is what is a face recognition software, basically, right? This is a very classical one. One image has been captured in a canteen, and there is a lot of noise. And you want to get the matching image. This is the matching image, and the noise has been removed. Now, what happens when criminals commit crimes, specifically in dietary items, in restaurants, in hotels where food is being prepared? They will go with mask, right or no? Criminals will go with masks so that their face will be hidden. Now you need to find out behind that mask, what is that image, basically. Right now, I'll show you the running, classical, right? Beautiful, right? We are almost coming to the end. You can see it here. Please see the running. See what is happening here. I am trying to find out who is hidden behind, right? I want to capture the criminal. So the lawyer, the judge, the public prosecutor, all are here only. Through the system, we are doing it. Can you see that? It is a very simple method. This data of the student plus I call this noise. What do you mean by noise? What is not required? Normal data plus noise minus noise. So noise minus noise gets cancelled. So the logic is you need to find out all the possible ground truths of how the criminals want to commit crime. What kind of masks they can wear when they're preparing food so that their faces are hidden, or what kind of towels they will wear, all the possibilities. So that's what I'm saying. Data plus noise minus noise. So noise gets cancelled and you will have only data. Very simple mathematics, right? Srikanth Prabhu plus hair minus hair. Srikanth Prabhu only, bald, nothing is there. Srikanth Prabhu plus hair minus hair, right? I am not bald actually. I have shaved it fully, basically. I'm just giving a simple example. How do you get Srikanth Prabhu's face? Srikanth Prabhu plus hair minus hair. So when I say minus hair, you need to find out all the possible hairs what can be there here, right? Find out that particular hair which you want to subtract from the original hair. Srikanth Prabhu plus hair minus all the possible hairs. Imagine Srikanth Prabhu will have different looks when he will put false hairs like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out of those false hairs, which is the actual one which he used when he was preparing a bad chicken biryani, right? Very simple example, logical, right? Beautiful, right? I'll just go back to the slides now. I'll just negate this. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, all right. This is clear. Fantastic. I was working on the canines because I love canines, like Rottweilers, Saint Wheelers, Labradors, chimpanzees, not chimpanzees, all different kinds of dogs. Because remember, these pets are found in the areas where food is being prepared. Abroad, I have seen they keep pets, right? Has there been a problem because of the pets? Have they created some problem because of which something happened unknowingly? So this is the way we do recognition. We find out all different parts of the pet, triangles basically, all right? And then all the different types of claws possible, right? Sometimes what happens, by mistake, the pet will go inside the kitchen and will put his or her legs inside the container where the food is there, right or no? It happens. You were not there. Your pet was there, either a cat or a Rottweiler or a Saint Wheeler or a bird, because of which the food gets contaminated. So you want to find all the possible clause possibilities. This is one area on which you can work. You don't have to write programs. Lot of scope is there these days on forensic dietary items in Delhi, in Calcutta, in the big five-star hotels, right? In which you can join the clinical side also. So, okay, all right. So this is one data which is about retinal data, but not much work is being done. It is on healthcare only, but not much work is done in fooding and dietary. I just put this to show you superimposition, how you can superimpose 2 or 3 data to find out whether any particular set of data belong to the same person, basically, right? So with this, I conclude, right? Cyber security plus biometrics, right? And when I say cyber security, I'm looking at the clinical nutrition and dietetics, and I'm trying to analyze these things through biometrics, to fingerprinting, to faces, and I'm looking at these data, how those faces are looking like. With wrinkles, that means there has been some problem, and analyze and try to find out what are the different possibilities. All right. Any questions? I'll stop here. That already crossed time. Any questions from any one of you? You will get this material, basically, right? Right. Any
So yes,
question?
sir. Thank you for the informative session, sir. And we are very grateful for the opportunity we had to learn from you.
No, I will thank for your gratefulness if you ask me questions. Please.
Yeah, of course. There are a few questions waiting for you. And the first question is by Fida. So Fida, over to you, Fida.
Yes, please. Go
Hello,
ahead,
sir.
Fida. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, sir. Good evening. I have a question for you. How can we sense cybersecurity issues and respond to them?
How can we send?
How can we sense cybersecurity issues and respond to them?
I mean, how can we send cybersecurity issues?
Sense. She means sense. She means sense.
How
can
can
we
we
sense?
sense?
Sense.
How can we sense cybersecurity issues? Okay. 10 seconds. Point number 1. Let me concentrate on all the cyber data, what we can perceive. First is emails, right? Email. Any emails, like you are all students, right? You get from the students or any official data, right? You can sense uh, the correctness or non-correctness of the data, right? Correctness means your examination timings or any kind of learning materials has been sent, or your friend sent certain notes. These are all normal data. So the risk of that becoming bad data is almost 0%. The risk values lie between 0 and 100%. Got my point? It's called risk mitigation, right? Point number 1. Point number 2, right? Many a times it is called as phishing of data or spoofing. It happens to anybody, right? Your email will be looked as if they are hacked. Through your email itself, you will get an email, right? Suppose you have an email called as, what's your name? Fida, right? Fida. Say fida@yahoo.com. So from your own email ID, you are getting an email. And the contents will be, please click, you can see an image. Actually, it will be a virus file. So when you click, what happens? Your whole computer will get infected, right? This usually happens when students are doing their projects. So what happens is, there's a competition among students. It happens even in the IITs. It happens in foreign universities. Everywhere it happens. It's a competition. Just Hindi mein bolte hain ki, not a sadistic behavior, because there's a lot of psychology involved here, like obsessive compulsion disorder. Somebody is in depression and they get such thoughts. Other things are also responsible. But the main thing is, people just want to see how you react. Say you have done a very good project and you have stored inside your computer all the files. So some of your friend might be 2 or 3 days before, not friend, it can be anybody. I'm not putting the blame on anybody. They just want to spoil your computer so that you lose your data. But uh, because of God's grace, you're stored somewhere else, so the data is safe. This is another way of looking at it. third way, sensing whether a computer crime has happened. Right? Your ATM cards. You have ATM cards, right? And you have booked, say, flight tickets. You have booked flight tickets. Yeah, say not through a ATM card, through credit card. And you see that once you have bought your this one aeroplane ticket, it happened to me 12 years back. That's why I stopped using credit cards. I never use credit cards. 12,500 rupees tickets, it was showing I have to pay 25,000 rupees. And even when I contacted the SBI, at that time they outsourced it, they said, we can't do anything. You have to pay 25,000. Then I went to the civil court, I fought the case and I won the case. Now I will not talk about the legalities involved here. So this is another place where you can sense. How do we sense now? So what happens is when you give your credit card and when the amount gets credited or debited, you can find certain patterns of abnormalities. When I say abnormalities, it is basically risk mitigation, right? Now, what do you mean by risk mitigation? You are using your credit card, right? But on the machine, it is showing the amount which is credited to you is more than what actually you have. All right. So there are certain manipulations being done on that machine by somebody, basically. So this is one way. That is why whenever you give your credit card to the person, specifically when you go abroad, you should tell them to show the system screen, right? You should do that. It has happened with us in the US. When we gave our credit card, it was showing that this card is being used from Brazil, from Rio. So you should see the screen when the card is being used, always. Don't have that much. So this is another way of looking. So these are the different ways of sensing. So when you say sensing, you should know the ground truth data of all the cyber crimes. So a lot of exposure is required. I told you some of them, right? Another one, what I can speak about is property frauds. Say you have a house, right? And it has been legally credited to you, but the property papers are being used by a person whose face is same like you, looking same, your face and the other person's face. So what the other person does is he or it will be she only. It is gender. It is gender based. That person will use your face and will try to conquer over the property which is owned by you. This happened in Haryana. I remember when the case happened, it came in the newspaper. So those newspaper people, what they did was they took the e-print, and from the e-print they found that that image was cropped. So they opened the image and they found that the person who actually committed the crime is different, and the person who has put the photograph in the newspaper is different, but the faces are same, exact same. Did you get my point? What I'm saying, Fida? Right? So similarities. So this can happen. So there are different. That's why I'm saying whenever you do property dealings, money dealings, or any kind of say in future for all of you, it's not only for any one person, any kind of dealings with your friends or any kind of say social relationship, you need to be very careful. You know that you should know all the possibilities. Right? So that is the answer to your question. Anything else?
Thank you, sir, and thank you, Fida, so much. And the next question is by Joe Sebastian. Joy, it's your turn now.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
Tell
one of
me.
the most problems during online classes are Zoom bombing and Teams bombing.
Is
How
that?
can we prevent them? Zoom bombing.
Huh?
Zoom bombing.
Student?
Zoom bombing.
I didn't get you.
Zoom, it's Zoom bombing, sir. I think so. He's referring to something called as Zoom bombing. Is it
Zoom?
Joe?
Yes, ma'am.
Zoom bombing. Is there any
Zoom
word like that, sir? Something called as
bombing
Zoom?
I have not heard, but let me just check in Google.
Zoom bombing. That is what you meant, Joe.
Zoom bombing.
Yeah, I think so, right? Joe, that's the word you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Zoom bombing. Zoom raiding. Unwanted this one.
Okay.
Take some time. Maybe 10 minutes.
Zoom cannot be controlled by you. Microsoft Teams can be controlled by you because Microsoft Teams has been bought by the organization. Manipal Academy of Higher Education has bought, so nobody from outside can come and disrupt your activities. But one thing is that if a class is going on, say, please bear with me. I'm just going little bit intricate here. Suppose 21 of you, somebody is playing a prank. Somebody of your friend is playing a prank inside your class itself. That can be stopped, right? Because what happens is when somebody tries to play a prank, the screen windows will start glowing. The screen windows, what you have here, like I have a screen window, right? Small one. Zamzam has, Madam has, Joe has, Fida has. So you can see it will start blinking. So you will know who is trying to play the prank.
Okay,
Right?
that's
So
good, sir. Good we came
that,
to know.
yeah.
I did happen to face this. Suddenly, my slides started moving by themselves.
Yeah.
I
No,
hadn't clicked. Yeah, maybe I was just thinking somebody else was trying to move it.
yeah,
No,
it
I
could
just came.
be. No, it could be. It has happened to me many times.
Okay.
It has happened to me many times when I've taken online classes. But it is
Yes.
not. I'm not putting the blame on anybody.
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes
Yes.
it happens because of the system. 90% of the
Maybe.
time it
Yeah.
happens because of the system only. But we
Maybe.
get irritated, so sometimes we put the blame on somebody else.
No. No. Yeah. Yeah. True. Maybe the system can be
Usually
the
happens
reason.
because of the system error only. Right? And one thing we should remember, for online classes, nobody will try to steal anything because these are all not security materials.
True.
So such things are not going to happen. Right? Right. Anything else? Go ahead.
Sir, the next question is from Prarthana Shenoid.
Yeah.
Prarthana, over to you.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so I had a question. Like, we all use our webcams for our virtual studies, right?
Yeah.
So there are these hackers who can control our camera and they can capture things from a camera. And there have been cases where our content, like unknowingly, they're on inappropriate sites.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can we do anything to prevent it, sir?
Prarthana, one thing I would like to tell you, whenever you are working on a computer system, don't reveal your details to people whom you should not. Learn to say no. Learn to say no. It is very, very important in social relationships on the computers. Only with the people whom you should have contact with, send your personal data like email IDs or MIME headers or anything else for that matter, basically. Or you can send even your Skype ID, but don't send it to those people whom you should not deal with, basically. That's the only solution here. Right? Problems come when you share your details like your bank account numbers with people with whom you should not share with. Right? So because I have seen in my own personal scenarios for the last 18 to 20 years, such things have never happened. Only thing sometimes what has happened is we have got some kind of unsolicited emails, right? That happens to many people. So that cannot be controlled, but this thing can be controlled, basically. Right? This is the only solution possible, nothing else. But if at all it happens, some kind of wrong data, obscene data, it happens, please report it to the higher authorities immediately. And when you are reporting it, don't tell it to your friends. You have to keep confidentiality in that. Nobody should know, basically. Remember always, right? Bring it to the notice of the higher authorities, right? And you can also take the copies, because copies of the data what has come on your side, and you can submit. There are ways of submitting it also to the HR, and then they put it to the crime branch, basically. Right? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else?
Thank you, sir. Here we are done with the question and answer session.
So hope you enjoyed.
Yes, sir, we did.
Yeah.
It was a really very informative talk, sir. It's really nice of you and grateful that you were here with us, giving maybe it's almost 2 hours to more than that being with us. Thank you so much for being a part of this program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
I would like to call upon Jeffrey John to conclude the session.
Unmute yourself, Jeffrey.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. So I'm just going to conclude and summarize what Dr. Srikanth has given, the information that Dr. Srikanth has given to us. So in the beginning, we saw the introduction of cybersecurity, We saw the definition of cybersecurity, which is security seen through computers. We saw the different concepts of cybersecurity, like security architecture, which includes cameras and so on, and the cybersecurity analytics, which analyzes the data given or captured by cybersecurity architecture. Then we saw how exploits and vulnerability tests are done to identify if threats are there in the data that is collected. And then cybersecurity uh, is done so that we can identify and secure the data that we have. We also saw the impacts of cybersecurity in our day-to-day lives, right from personal impacts all the way to global impacts like cyber wars uh, that like cold wars can destroy nations, and how cybersecurity is important in our everyday lives. Then we saw the logical order of threat, threat and threat management. From threat management, we saw information assurance to know that our data is secure. Then we saw infrastructure management and understood how a network works. Like networks are subdivided into enterprise, and each enterprise is divided into domain, and each domain is divided into data that stores data. And at each level, there is firewalls to stop uh, stop infiltrations from hackers or people who steal data. Then we also saw about cyber semantics, or the logics used to analyze data, how sensors or applications that record the data are analyzed, and this analyzed data is reported, and several engines like artificial intelligence and so on analyze the data, and they predict what outcomes could be possible, and even new lessons are learned on how cyber crimes are done, and this can be very useful for the future. Then in the practical applications, we saw about how fingerprint sensors, facial recognitions, retinas, and all of these devices, these sensors can be used to identify possible infiltrators, and thus threat can be uh, controlled. So, in conclusion, we saw how cybersecurity is so important for our day-to-day lives, and especially in our field, clinical nutrition and dietetics. It is cybersecurity is very essential for all of us, and I'm very grateful for Dr. Srikanth Prabhu who could take the session for us, and we are looking forward to learn more from you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Raghavendra sir. Raghavendra sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was really nice. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
A few more minutes, please bear with us. Okay, MC, please continue.
You can take a photograph. Raghavendra sir, you can take photograph.
We'll do that. We'll do that. Yes, definitely. All
All
the
can come.
students, yeah, please turn on your video before vote of thanks, sir.
Yeah.
Students are having, again, a vote of thanks in their program list. Okay. Students and madam, please all of you turn on your video so that a photo can be. All the students, please.
Yes.
Still,
Yes, still more students. Please turn on your camera.
Salonika, Pratana, Priyanka, Anjana,
Yes,
all of you, please.
please.
Yeah, all are there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just switch on to your camera so that we can see all of them. You can take a photograph. Still more.
Okay, Labib, you can come back on video. Nivedita and Diya. Okay, we are going to Labib. What happened? Can you come back?
We have Nivedita and Dia still yet to come.
That is okay. At least Labib, once you come back, I think.
Sir, I turned on my video.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see Labib.
Yes, yes. Nivedita, if you can come to light little. Okay. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, MC, you can continue with.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Now I welcome Nishkala and Pujari for the word of thanks.
Yeah, Nishkala, please unmute and continue.
Yeah, start.
The best and the beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt by the heart. Thank you is one prayer among them. I considered it a great privilege to propose a vote of thanks to all the dignitaries who have witnessed it as a memorable and a successful event. Today, my words are not enough to express the gratitude. On behalf of the institution, I would like to thank our honorable chief guest, Dr. Srikanth Prabhu, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, who graced us with his eminent presence and guidance. I would like to express my sincere thanks to Mrs. Suvarna Hebbar, Coordinator, Department of Clinical Nutrition and Dietetics. I am also very grateful to Dr. Avinash Shetty, Superintendent, Kasturba Hospital, Manipal. I also wish to express my gratitude to Dr. G. Arun Maya, Dean, Manipal College of Health Professionals, MAHE, and also a special thanks to Dr. Sharat Kumar Rao, Dean, Kasturba Medical College, MAHE, and also thank Raghavendra G, Assistant Professor, for giving us opportunity. Then I would like to thank Zamzam Akbar and Dhanya V for becoming the Master of Ceremony and welcoming. And thank you Salonika Sandra D'Souza for introducing the guests and Jeffrey John to conclude this session and Muhammad Labib for designing the poster. And thanks to all the participants for the questions in the Q&A session and students, viewers for making this event a memorable and a grand success. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nishkala, for your sweet words.
And thank you each and everyone for joining this event and taking time off your busy schedule and joining us in this event and making it a grand success. And thank you each and everyone. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, sir. Bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you so much.